Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nexus. This is M, and today we are continuing our series of decklist videos with a special one, a fan favorite. Today we have the showcase winner for Luke with a Data Vault 33 HP. Today with us is Aiden, aka h0ly hippie. Aiden, welcome to the channel. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me. And it was nice to meet you at Liverpool. I've seen some of your videos online as well. So it was nice to actually meet and play you. And yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and thanks for joining us. It was really fun to play, really less fun to lose. We're going to talk about that for me, but
Sorry.
a pleasure nonetheless. Absolutely. But today we're here to talk about your great performance. Congrats. You're one of the currently three people in the world that are virtually holding a Luke Skywalker faithful friend, I believe it's called, showcase. So virtually because doesn't, it's not in circulation yet, but we're talking about it. Hopefully, you will get it soon. But today, for our viewers, you're gonna share with us your experience at Liverpool with the deck. We're gonna talk about if someone is going to an upcoming sector or regional qualifier. How can they pilot this deck? How can they think about playing this deck? Um, from your perspective, as well as we're gonna look at an updated list that you would play after the ban list. So let's have a look first and foremost at the list. We're going to switch here. We actually have, yeah, this is your tournament, this is your list, but let's maybe look at from a better perspective. I was trying to put it in a picture, but we have to essentially scroll because Data Vault reads you start with 33 HP, but you have 10 more cards. So let's start from the why. Why have you picked this stack? And why, yeah, why Luke?
So I think the obvious answer to why Luke is the showcase. Uh, I don't really have much, I suppose, much attachment to the deck. I know a lot of people were playing Luke Green in set one. I certainly played against a lot, but I was more on the Boba sort of side of things, and I didn't actually have any Luke legendaries towards until the end of the set. So it was never a
Right.
deck I sort of messed around with that much. But yeah, they said the Luke Showcase was a thing you could potentially win. I thought it'd be quite a funny idea to maybe try that. I took a sort of deck list offline of one of the, I think it's Destiny Riku, who's one of the main, who started the original deck thread for Luke on the main Discord server and
Right.
has kept it up to date since. Uh, took a little skeleton of his list, took it to locals one night, beginning of this set. I thought I'd mess around with it. Performed actually quite well. Uh, so I thought I'd experiment it, give it my own flavor over a few weeks. Uh, and then, to be honest with you, I was getting quite cold feet with the idea.
Mm.
I thought, you know what, might be an impossible ask
It's a
to
big
try and get
tournament, right? It was 420
exactly,
people. Yeah.
exactly. And I quite like to do well at these tournaments as well. And I was sort of scared that if I pick something like this, I lose the first 3 rounds and crash out on my hope of getting it's gone. So honestly, even on we travelled the night before the day before Liverpool. Even in the car, I was on Carabas at the back, trying out different decks that weren't Luke, because I was getting completely cold feet on it and the idea. But all the locals in the South Wales players, which is where I currently play, they essentially bullied me into just sticking with the Luke idea, and I
Good
didn't
friends, for
and
sure.
I didn't submit my deck list till 7 o'clock, an
Mm,
hour before deadline, and then 10 minutes before the deadline, I changed it again. Still Luke, but I still made some tweaks. So I'm not the most decisive player. There's some players that make their decks weeks beforehand, maybe do the odd tweak. Oh, this deck looked nothing like it did an hour before submissions.
that's interesting. I'm definitely on a similar page as you. I'm like tweaking up until like the last minute, but I'm glad, and I'm sure you're glad as well. You stuck
Yeah,
with Luke. So now we know the why. Let's talk
yeah,
about a bit about the how you did. So obviously you ended up top 35. I think you got
yeah.
35th place. So again, congrats, amazing result.
Thank you.
Um, really cool to see this deck. And yeah, let's maybe talk about if someone wants to start playing it. Let's talk a bit about the philosophy of this deck. How do you look at this deck in like from a perspective of the meta that we had with Django going around, and how would you describe this deck? And if you can give us a bit of details on like the main cards, and after that we're gonna dive into some play lines.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, when I got this deck list and shared it with my sort of like locals and stuff after the tournament, I got a quote from my friend James, who went, "He loves the deck and how it flies in the face of decades of deck building fundamentals. And for rigorous testing, I've managed to create an insane jank toolbox slot machine that only one person in the world could effectively pilot." However, I say that in the sense of don't be put off by the deck. It does look a bit weird to use, and but they also because of that, there's room for anyone else to take this, mix around with the flavor of it, and make it their own. This is mine. I spent weeks on this deck, constantly changing it. I took this deck, which is 60 cards, 10 sideboards. But anywhere I took it with me to test, I had another pile of 40 cards. I was constantly switching in and out. They, so yeah, in terms of how I ended on this and sort of with the meta at the time, obviously Django was a big thing I was expecting.
Of course.
So so one of the main elements of the decks is I suppose the 5 Space Sentinels. I think it was 6 for some points, but I think I dropped it down to 5. I probably regretted that as well. But yeah, I've got Concord Dawn, which is just solid, play it early, uh, and then Bright Hope as well.
Yeah, really
And I suppose
solid
yeah,
sentinels. Yeah,
and I suppose the benefit of Luke is if you manage to get it out there for long enough with a resource spare, you can chuck a shield on it.
sure.
Takes Django a lot of resource and time try and get through that.
Yeah,
And what you want to do with this deck, and the main thing with this deck is stall out and just try and get to the end game and start dropping your home ones, your redemptions, your reinforcement walkers, your Lukes, your U-wings to go wide. It's all just trying to get to the end game essentially.
yeah, really cool. So pretty much you're banking on the fact that you have a chunky base,
Yeah,
33 HP, that lets you kind of like play behind the curve almost. Obviously,
yeah,
we're talking about some lines. We have the Alliance Dispatcher that lets you play a card for one less, which is then the one that you would play to put the shield on the units.
yeah.
But generally, like you're kind of playing a bit of a swarmy kind of strategy with some kind of goal toll options. We see the
Yeah.
pilots, we see the upgrades. Do you have some key play lines that you've seen in the kind of weekend, in the course of the weekend playing out?
Yeah, so I suppose so there's quite a few pilots in there. So Chewbacca, absolute solid. A very hard to get round if he manages to get onto a Space Sentinel, and also is just a good body and great against sort of any control matchups. Uh, but yeah, I suppose the also thing with the other pilots. So I feel like Battlefield Marine is probably a better option than the Luke unit.
Mm.
Luke unit's a bit squishy and is also a bit expensive for a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But I switched to the Luke unit because I wanted those extra. I wanted the extra things to throw on sort of the ships if I needed to
Yeah.
help sort of keep that space arena mine. Uh, so now I would probably drop that uh, for Marines. However, I was also running Luke lightsabers, which were solid onto the
Yeah.
Luke unit as well. I believe it turns him into a 6/3 with a shield. It's not a bad body to have.
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
that's a cool tech actually.
yeah, exactly. So I've got three different versions of Luke's, two lightsabers. I switched to an extra. I went. I think I was three Luke's. I switched to a Jedi lightsaber, and then two Luke's. So still three lightsabers in total.
Mm.
Uh, I didn't actually. I don't think I actually used the Jedi lightsaber uh, all day. Actually, I think I did on the stream game. I think that was the first time I used it.
Mm.
I was thinking the Luke lightsaber was just, I suppose, better value, and mainly was just going on the Luke leader because it's hard to be removed
Yeah. I
and just makes
also
him an absolute unit.
I also like the Admiral Yularen. I think it's a really interesting unit from the new set that really is flexible in how it can help you develop your space game. I found it really interesting.
Yeah, no, great point with you, Lauren. So it wasn't actually something I was testing. I think I may have read the card and just thought, I didn't really maybe see any use for that.
Mm.
And I only owned one at the time as well. But then the week before Liverpool was the Milan tournament, and that had a Luke Showcase winner there, and he was running two in his deck.
Yeah.
And I watched the video of his interview where he talked about it and stuff, and actually sounded like, you know what, maybe I didn't give this card enough credit. So I tried to find space with it. Looking at the list, it looks weird that I've got one in main and one in the sideboard.
Yeah.
I should have probably just gone two in or two out.
Mm.
It's probably more because it was a last minute inclusion.
Gotcha.
Uh, and again, it's not a bad card to see in game one, but if it's not needed, it can easily just go resource. And then, but when it comes to game two or three against a deck like a Django or like a Boba deck, yeah, that's when they put in the second one, and then that's gives me increased odds of
Yeah.
hopefully finding it.
Makes sense. It's funny that you say I was trying to find place for it in a 60 card deck. It's like even adding 10 cards, the proportion changes and you still struggle to find the right balance.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose on that,
Hmm,
I found it a lot harder to build a 60 card deck than a 50 card deck. 50 card deck, you've sort of got your clear lines on what you're trying to do, your clear play style. When you go
hmm,
to 60, you're trying to do a bit of everything, or you've
yeah,
got to like all the ratios get thrown off. Like if I look at this deck now, there's lots of ones offs or twos off where you kind of need to like regroup it and look at it in like more like I suppose like for an example, you've got the Space Sentinels. I don't see it as a three and a two. I see it as five Space Sentinels.
hmm,
Uh, and then I suppose the lightsabers, that's three lightsabers. And then I suppose when it comes to card draw, you've got Yoda and the is it the Red Squadron X-wing?
yeah.
Yeah. So I've got four cards that I can play for 3 mana
I see.
that let me
So you
draw a
kind of
card.
like categorize your cards more than
Yeah.
like seeing them as like a unique card. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a good philosophy. Thanks for walking us through it. I think we're not going to dive into the cyborg because we have an updated list, which is more relevant for
Yeah.
today's. I just want to kind of uh, just again applaud your results for the weekend. You went 6-1-2. So you're just want to see you won against Boba. You won against a Boss Green,
Yeah.
and then a Piet Red Thermal Oscillator. That's spicy. Then you won against a Django. That's interesting. 2-1. Was that really close, or how was the Django matchup?
Django matchup's a weird one. Like the deck's got quite a lot of tech for Django, and I was
Mm,
expecting to see a lot of it. The problem is with Django is it's just quite high roll. I think on one of
mm,
the I think it was more the second Django player I played. He saw all three triple dart raids
mm.
in the same game, and there's only so much you can tech for against that.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, Lauren, I believe that one there. So I mean, I lost game one, but won game two and three. I think a top target came in handy in the games I won against Django. A they've got to try and do 33 damage to my base. If I slap a top target on something,
Heal
that turns
6.
it that
Yeah.
turns into a 37 or a 39 base.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got the odd little restore and sort of makes those margins go more in my favor until I can start dropping down redemptions and home ones and everything.
Yeah. Makes
Uh,
sense.
Eular- and Euloran, to be fair, when he come out, using his ability was great, but he also became, I suppose, a target for Django, and they're actually trying to trade into Euloran because he was annoying, which saved my base damage by proxy.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
it's a
yeah,
chunky unit for sure.
and yeah, at that point they're trying to trade into it when they flip Django, and I'd rather have that go on Euloran than my base.
Mm. Makes sense.
Uh,
But we don't have to worry about Django Fat
no,
anymore, so that's good. You drew against a boss blue. I have same experience as well. I think it was maybe the same player. Uh, then you lost against the Django,
yeah,
and then we matched on
we did.
round 7. Yes, I was on Kira, um, 30 HP green. And it was great games. I remember first game I got you to 32.
You
Um,
did, yes. Which
and
this is why I'm running Data Vault.
yeah, and I killed 2 of your looks, but the Chewy was just the bane of my existence. And you played super well, managed to take that win. And then game 2, it was just a blowout. I think I was really on the back foot the whole game, and I remember trying. I did something really silly. I thought I could no glory only result your restore arc with a Luke on it
Yeah,
to take control. I still had to do it because the restore arc was like swinging for 5, restoring for 1. But we called judge and we found out that not only I'm not getting the Luke, but obviously you're getting the Luke.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, so I also looked into that. So it's not a when defeated ability. Otherwise, you would get it.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's the key word in yeah. So like if you do use like no glory on like Obi-Wan,
Hmm,
then you can then get the experience points because Luke's
makes
ability
sense.
isn't a when defeated ability. And I suppose Obi-Wan as well. I didn't. Going back to the actual original deck list.
Yeah.
I did have Obi-Wans, but I switched them out for Riken instead because Obi-Wan just gets bounced so easy
Mm,
by Han Yellow.
yeah.
And the
You
main
need
person
something
I
on play that gives you value, right?
yeah, exactly. And then that 5/7 was just a bit more chunky to get through.
Mm, I
Uh,
like that. Yeah. Um, and then you won against the Yoda Data Vault, which was, I think it was, yeah, the Endless Legion Yoda
yeah,
kind of game. And then unfortunately, we saw you losing the last game on stream. That was heartbreaking. Uh, but it was so close. Quinlan was already like one of the strongest decks, and now that Django is out of the picture, I think Quinlan will be um,
yeah,
even better. But yeah, it
yeah,
ended you with a record of 6-2-1. Um, yeah, how do you feel about the tournament as a whole?
yeah. No, I really proud of my performance. So even so, with that, it's a 6-1-2 record, but I did manage to beat every opponent. Some of those opponents may have beat me more times than I beat them.
Mm,
Uh, but I never got 2-0'd by anyone,
yeah, that's huge.
uh, which I'm quite proud of that. It meant everyone was beatable. But no, everything kind of went to plan. As I said, the deck's a bit of a toolbox, but sometimes the draws don't go your favour. That's a problem playing 60 cards, but that can happen with 50 cards as well.
Mm,
But no, honestly, it went to script. Boba, so just go for the games. Boba was a took the extra damage on my base with the indirect, able just to keep removal for anything big to play towards the end or anything on triple dart raids, and just again got to the end game, started throwing Luke sound
mm,
redemptions, takes the game away from him. Bosk, I think I went just quite aggressive on that matchup and just shielded everything to protect myself from barrages as well. and they did the same tactic with Piet. I
Of
believe
course.
the Piet one. I think I just went quite wide, put shields on everything,
Yeah.
and then just kept going base and
Yeah,
put
it's
in that one
27
ship. Or
HP
use
as well, so it doesn't take too long to take down.
that exactly. Django, we've talked about it a bit. He was something I was trying to tech against. Even if it turns the matchup into 50-50, that's fine against Django. Boss Blue, I was sort of getting worried that there'd be quite a lot of control, and I did originally have more tech for control matchups, such as
Mm.
Vigilances, that side, but I sort of took the gamble that I wouldn't see any potentially heavy, like hard control, and maybe just sort of maybe the soft control mid
I said
range,
the
even a noob
same,
deck like yourself.
and I faced 2 Bosk Blue on the day.
But yeah, Bosk, I actually won a showdown last set with Boss Blue.
Nice.
So I sort of know the deck, how it works. And playing against playing against control, you've just got to know when to throw your punches and when not to.
Mm.
Game one, I don't know. I think uh, I wasn't making mistakes that usually would play into control, like just waiting for the right times, not deploying my leader right into like open resources with like Power of the Dark Side and stuff, and sort of I think just cut him off surprise and just won him. Just won by just doing enough damage to base
Mm-hmm.
early on. I think I resupplied twice that game as well, which helped because they can't ramp. Game two, to be honest with you, the only way he could win me at that point was to mill me out. And with 60 cards, it took him a while,
Mm.
but he did manage to mill me out eventually. And then, because it's, I suppose, blue against blue, we didn't have time to play a third game.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, maybe going forwards, and we'll go about this over my list. I'd probably maybe tech a bit more for it, because I feel like with the now DJ's gone,
Have to
you're gonna see a lot
respect it.
more of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Django again. I think I won game one, went to script, and then game two, I think he saw 3 triple dark raids, and then game three, I think was closer, but not much you can do.
Yeah.
Uh, Yourself, I would say the games were quite close. Yeah, I wouldn't
Mm.
say, even though you said the second one was a blowout. I think I remember you on the ground. You had the Pike Sentinel. You had a Walker that I did manage to get rid of eventually,
Yeah.
but got you insane value, and you had a big board out, which you just had to keep trading into me because you were quite close to being defeated. And then I think I went with Ewing wide into space. You
Yeah.
threw a Devastator down, and I just had a removal for your Devastator, and you just couldn't do that again. So I just managed to creep through by
Mm-hmm.
just going to the other lane. The Yoda was kind of weird. It was the same Yoda guy that was on stream. Honestly, one of my favorite players, obviously apart from yourself,
It was so funny,
for the
man.
day.
On stream, he
Uh,
actually pulled the Endless Legion play. It's so good.
uh, I know, and when I played him, he said he was also going for the Yoda showcase because he doesn't have one. So we're both, I suppose, having a little showcase battle because that was the reason we
Gotcha.
were there.
Yeah.
I did manage to win. It was because he had kind of a like weird control deck,
Mm.
but just grinding it through with home ones and the Chewbaccas. Went 2-0. So he missed out on top 64. Where if he would have got top 64, he would have got the Yoda showcase. However, the FFG guy who was there with the showcases on day two found him and gave him the Yoda showcase because of the blind Endless Legion pull on stream.
No way.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah. He found me on day two. Yeah, and was just sort of like, great, we've both got our showcases.
Amazing. Yeah, well deserved. Well deserved.
And then Quinlan, to be honest with you, it was a deck I was hoping to dodge all day.
Mm. It's
Um,
rough.
it's rough. I've got a bit of card draw early game, but with the deck being a bit I suppose a bit inconsistent at times, occasionally with the 60 card decks. Theirs isn't,
Yeah.
and can just punish you for it. Like where some games where if it goes a bit bad for me in my draws, it probably will on for them as well. That's just not the case.
Mm.
If they pull out Ahsoka, Kira, brick my hand, yeah, get going on the ground.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, first game on stream, great. Enjoyed watching that back. Yeah, Game 2 and 3. Game 2, I got DJ'd by him, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was so random.
I know.
But really cool.
Yeah, honestly, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And that, to be fair, is probably how DJ was meant to be used for situations like that, not having your resource destroyed.
Mm,
But I suppose that's why he's banned now. So yeah, but honestly, great player. We were both playing there, playing our best, and it just happened to go to him. But so I did miss out on day 2 with that last game. But at the end
unfortunately.
of the day, I achieved my objective.
Yeah.
Day 2 would day 2 would have been a nice bonus, but
Yeah.
the problem is I didn't know if I'd achieved it or not at that time after that game.
Got it.
Because there was a few other Luke players I was
Yeah.
keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
There was this one guy from Leeds. Spoke to him most of the day. We're both rooting for each other. I think on round 8, he paired up with my testing partner,
Yeah.
and my testing partner plays h0ly, which
And
isn't
knows
a
the
good
deck.
matchup into this deck,
Mm,
and also knows the deck.
mm.
And my friend did me a favor by beating him.
I see. Yeah, it
uh,
was, but I know what you mean by like actually I live a similar experience in terms of camaraderie with other folks that are trying for the showcase. There was only 4 or 5 Kiras, and we actually all met up. Um, and up until the last round, I was the best placed, and then Frankie, my teammate, was second place. So we were like, one of us has to win, so we got that showcase. And luckily, it was we did. Frankie won the showcase, but yeah, it was
nice.
cool to meet the other people and like check with them on their every round. Obviously, there was the hope that you would the best place, but still like everyone cheering on each other for like achieving that. So definitely,
Yeah, it was
definitely
nice.
enjoyed that.
Well, it's nice because at that point, where even though I didn't make it day 2, it was either myself that's won a loot showcase or someone that's made it to day 2, and it's still a good thing that someone managed to pull it off,
For
even
sure.
if it wasn't myself.
Yeah. Um, awesome. So once again, congrats. Let's wrap it up with what the future of this list could look like. So if you're watching this and you're going to a sector or regional, you're still, have the chance to win this very prestigious showcase by playing a deck that, uh, you know, clearly can win and have great performances, even in a jungle meta. So why not trying it now, right? And I asked Aiden to kind of share what an updated list could look like, and very kindly he did. So maybe should we kind of review what are the main changes and why after this ban? What are you considering since Django, TDR, and DJ are not around anymore?
Yeah, so I suppose it was a case of, does it go back to being 30 HP or does it stay at 33?
Mm,
I was messing around with some ideas with this, and to be honest with you, I think I'd stay on the 33. With going to 30, you can make, I suppose, more clear lines, like putting Chewbacca on a ship early game, trying to run away with the game, or just trying to get up to Luke and put a lightsaber on him and go a bit more aggressive. But I feel like you lose too much maybe against like control on the rise, where I think with 60 cards you have that bit more flexibility. Your deck can
mm,
be, you don't really get any free wins, but you also don't get any instant losses. Maybe
yeah,
Quinlan, but that's a different argument that I'd need to test
yeah,
a bit more. But yeah, this is what I sort of threw together. I suppose one of the main differences is Battlefield Marine comes in instead of the Luke pilots. I think it's just solid body, trades well early game. Top target stays. Honestly, that was great every time that come up. With Luke, you kind of always playing with that one resource change using shields anyway.
nice.
So sometimes you might want to use it on the top target instead. Um I think one of the main differences as well is I've put vigilance in the main.
Yeah, you added 2 vigilance. You lost a Jedi lightsaber, so you went to just 2 Luke's lightsaber.
Yep, I think I've
Um,
gone up to cannon on 3.
yeah, and you
I've gone
changed
4
the
space sentinels. Yeah,
ratio of one and redemption. That's
yeah.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
So home one has I suppose, a better matchup into control, and gives you maybe a bit more of a chance to get that game one win against a control matchup, or at least or at least in game two after sideboarding, help
Mm,
cement that. With home one, against, I suppose, like the boss blue player, or playing against that Yoda player that was quite control.
mm,
I was waiting until I was on 10 resource to play it to get Chewbacca back if
mm.
Chewbacca had already died. Uh, Absolute nightmare for him.
Yeah, that card is just yeah
Uh,
silly.
one one thing I did learn about playing boss blue that I hadn't really accounted for is Chewbacca is great into control. However, does
No
their
glory
best
in
weapon
results.
against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no glory in the results. Yes, obviously. However, there's only 3 of them, so that's fine.
True.
Well, you can potentially get 6 Chewbaccas now with this,
Mm,
if they don't get lost on the mill. But their Palpatine unit can instantly kill it because it does 6 damage
of course. Yeah.
when played. So play it when you've got a chance. When they've not got as much resources, they can play a Palp and use Luke's ability to chuck a shield on it
Makes
to
sense.
protect Chewbacca.
And what about the
Uh,
side deck? Because I see some spice. Obviously, so you put 2 vigilance in the main and 1 in the side.
yeah,
And I see
so that
2 rules with respect.
I thought you might come to that.
Yeah.
So go to the vigilance first. So the vigilance and restock would come in against a heavy control deck.
Sure.
A 60 cards, mill them out before they mill you. Restock's there to keep you alive, and the spark to take out their restock, or anything that maybe gets it back. Rule with respect. It's not a card I've ever used before,
Mm,
or even tested with. When I was watching that Quinlan stream, I was trying to against the stream against Quinlan. I was trying to think what card could I have used to potentially deal with their big board
mm,
and give me that breathing space.
yeah.
And I feel like rule of respect maybe goes into that.
Yeah. I
It'd
like
be
it.
good for someone to actually play the card.
Mm,
So it would be something I would test. I'm not saying a anyone who's trying this deck, you need to use that card. I would definitely test it against like a Quinlan. Like if you've got a space unit that they're probably not interacting with, they don't tend to run too much space Quinlan. Uh, or even the Luke unit with the Luke leader with a lightsaber, and they're still going for your base and chuck a few all their 2 drops and stuff, and you just eat them all with rule of respect. They're not
yeah.
going to be. It'll take them ages to get them back, and then at that point, you just need that 1 or 2 more turns until you get more online and take the game away out of their hands.
Yeah, the challenge with rules with respect with which reads cost 4 green heroism. A friendly unit captures each enemy non-leader unit that attacked your base this phase. So it really requires a lot of action economy. Obviously, you can't just expect to just say pass, pass, pass. Like maybe if it's like a super surprise effect and they just they're not expecting it, or they just think you have 4 up and waiting for them to attack to then play a 4 cost unit, you might get lucky. But when you're going to a sector regional, you should be like kind of like prepare for some highly skilled players. So I don't know if the situation is like, hey, they have a bunch of units, you have a big unit, you need to wait for them to attack with all of them before doing rules of respect. Just keep that in mind. Like action economy
Yeah,
is very important, but it's interesting tech.
yeah, maybe like on like your leader deploy turn, if you flip your leader in like Luke, yeah, that's an action. They've probably already built a board because they sort of get online a couple turns earlier.
Mm,
Yeah, and they've probably swung to your. They've probably taken the initiative, swung to your base. You can deploy another little unit, swung to your base, and then that might be enough. Yeah, to then use it. And then to be fair, it might turn even if they've got some units untapped. They might spend the rest of the turn chipping away at your leader
sure.
to try and get them back, which stalls them out for a turn.
Yeah.
Maybe all you need. Again, I've not tested it. Uh, it's just something that I thought would be an interesting against Quinlan.
Yeah.
Just because it needs an answer. And there's a bit of draw in this deck. Might need to go up to more, but there wasn't really too much cards that go into the smuggle category, which is one of the usual things that helps
Mm.
against Quinlan. Uh, so yeah, honestly as well, for anyone that is considering playing this deck, I had a lot of fun playing it. More fun than I was expecting in the testing side of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, and every event that you could win a loot showcase, someone has managed it.
Yeah. My 2 cents here would be consider running scanning officers given this meta.
Yeah,
But that kind of like speaks to one of the main takeaways for me, which is this is a fun deck, like you said, and it has a lot of ways to play. We've seen the other, I think the Luke that won the showcase in North America run like a bunch of different cards, like the Sabine Masterpiece didn't
yeah,
run the U Wing. So there's a lot of ways to build this deck. It's a lot of fun. It wins, um, and yeah, you should definitely check it out. But with that, Aiden, I would say again, thank you so much. Is there any shout out or anything you wanna say before we wrap it up?
yeah. So shout out to all the South Wales players, especially my testing partner Jake and like James and everyone else who I play with. Help make this dream become a reality. Uh, Also, big shout out to Shira, who was on your channel recently, I believe. A big fan of just how he thinks and how he makes decks. Would love to see what he would do differently, because his decks are always a bit more different. And his server as well, interactions there, and also I suppose the main Discord Luke chat as well on there. There's a lot of different lists going around and a lot of people discussing different options. So yeah, and then also to yourself as well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, thanks for joining. And we'll leave the links to the deck list and the Discord server in the description and comments. And if you have any questions for Aiden, leave it in the comments. We'll see if we can answer to them. But until next time, Aiden, thank you again and see you in the next video.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too. Bye.